Okay, cool. Okay, so the recording is going. So basically, today we'll start with study unit 1, and then I don't think we'll use the whole hour, but after that we can discuss a bit more the way forward and those things, and I'll then stop the recording. So basically, what I want you guys to do. This is actually a much bigger bigger group that I had last year that are attending this session. So this is actually quite great. I'll see how we can make the process just easier, that I don't need to give you access to the group and let you in. I think there is some of the setup that I just need to change, but I'll get that right. Okay, can you see basically the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So basically what I will do today is focus on study unit 1. What is in a sense nice about the year's subject, we can take a bit more time to go through all of the things, that we don't need to rush through it. But what we will also make sure is that with each assignment that you need to hand in, that we will be aligned to nearly cover all the study units before you need to attempt the assignment. So basically, what you will see in the work that we were going through today, a lot of it is from the extra study guide that you have, with some examples of what can the questions be, but you will also see from the ones that I have tomorrow that I will also include some of the exam papers questions, just to show also how many times certain things are repeated, so that it is nearly, when you go through the questions and you go through some of the exam papers, you are nearly covered what you need to know. And I think that is quite important, that if you, when you get to your exam preparation, that we will also put a lot of focus on some of the previous exam papers. Okay, so study unit 1, I think what is important here, and I have nearly put in a summary for you, the extra summary that I've shared on the WhatsApp group is also nearly a nice one that you can keep with you. And why I did it like that as well is, since you are writing online, you can have that paper with you. So it can be kind of a crypt note kind of that you can use. I think it is good that we have this nearly as we go through the questions, that you nearly have that as a paper that you can always cross-reference to. So let's go into the first question, and how I normally do this is you can answer as well. So if you I can see hands and stuff like that, but you can just unmute yourself and nearly give it a stab if you want to say what you think the answer is and why it is like that. But I'll also explain. So is there anybody that is looking at this first question and wants to nearly tell me what the answer will be and why it is like that? You also don't need to. I'll give like a minute and then I'll explain as well. But if you want to, you can by all means jump in. So anybody that nearly wants to take a stab at this first question.
I think the answer is 3. It's number 3, ordinal variable.
Okay, so, and do you want to tell me why?
The variables are put in order. They are in order.
Okay, awesome. So they are ranked. So if they are ranked, they are in order. So it could, how I would also do this is nearly to say, okay, not satisfied, slightly satisfied, very satisfied. So it goes from not satisfied to very satisfied. So there is a rank in this, there's order in this. So the options that it can be is option 3 or option 5, as there's also ordinal. Okay, so it won't be one of the other ones. Okay, so then if I look at discrete, why can't it be discrete? So discrete is when it the number is not referring to something, so it's not categories that it refers to. So discrete is nearly how many students are on this call. So this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 is not discrete variables. So it is definitely not discrete. So the only one that is left is only ordinal. Okay, so 100%. So there's order in the categories. That is why it is ordinal. It's an ordinal variable. Everybody happy with that argument?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so and I think what is important nearly now that you also have that summary that I did send on WhatsApp, it's nearly easier now to see, oh, okay, there's ordinal, it is ranked. Okay, happy with that argument nearly. So let's see a next one, and I'm going to just make that also much bigger. Okay, so the variable country with possible values encoded as 1 for South Africa, 2 for USA, 3 for UK, and 4 for Zimbabwe represents. Okay, so now we can nearly go back to the previous one where 1 was not satisfied up until very satisfied. If I look at this one, there's definitely no order in this. So it is nearly, it's not ordinal. Okay, so that is nearly just how I would, if this was a question in the exam, I would have looked at it and say, okay, let's make it easy. Let's take out the 2 that is ordinal. So what would you have said is the answer to this one? Anyone? Yes.
I would say it's nominal.
Because
I
you
would say
can,
it's nominal. It's number 1.
okay,
And the reason for that is the numbers are meaningless.
okay, cool. Any other? Boitumelo, do I pronounce your name correct? Let's quickly. Boitumelo. How do you pronounce your name? That I can get that right as well. What is your answer? Okay, so I would also have said it is nominal. It's definitely not discrete, and it's definitely not continuous. So I would also have said it's nominal. There's no meaning in these numbers. it's different if there was if a question was maybe around something like to say the variable country represents the most number of COVID cases, maybe. So if it was linked to something like that, to say South Africa has the most cases, USA the second most, UK the third, and Zimbabwe the fourth, if it was something around that, then again it would have been nearly ordinal because there was order in something. But for this, purely there's no meaning in the number, so it is nominal. So just if in the exam maybe they switch it a bit around with other things in between, then yeah, sorry. Question 2 is missing. I'm just taking taking a few snapshots of a question. So I'm not doing all of them. I'm just taking a few of study units questions. So you can always, if while you're also going through the questions, and there's anything that you struggle with, ask on the WhatsApp, or ask in one of the next sessions, and we can discuss it. So yeah, so please, if you see any of the other ones that you are struggling with, always just let me know, and we can discuss it. There's no reason why we can't. I just took out a few that I think covers most of each study unit. So as we go into the different study units, you will see later on, I nearly for each of the things that I think they can ask in the exam, there's nearly a question. Okay, the next one, as you will see, I did skip again. Also, what they like to ask, and the way that they structure it, is sometimes with these ones you get into the routine of you looking for the correct one, and then they throw in which one is incorrect. And I think where this is also very important is that when you think correct, then normally the first one will be correct, because you're in that mode of looking for the correct answer. So very important just to note in the exam when they swap over to incorrect, so that you don't fall in the trap of looking actually for the correct answer. So let's look at one of them are incorrect. So does anybody want to give it a go? Yes.
So the first one would be correct, because nominal data are also called qualitative data,
Okay.
as per the notes that you gave us.
Okay, great.
And then the second, yes, and then the second one, it talks about quantitative data. So I would say that one, it says quantitative data is in statistics refers to continuous data alone. And then I would say.
So you say that one is also correct?
I would say that one is it's also correct, yes.
Okay.
Because on quantitative data we don't have any nominal or ordinal.
Okay.
Well,
then, is someone speaking?
Yeah, I say I disagree with you with regards to number 2.
And why?
Because it's continuous and discrete.
Okay, so and I think that is important. So quantitative data in statistics refers to continuous data, if it was only that, then it would have been correct.
Okay, I understand that.
But because they say alone, it's incorrect because there is more. So there is discrete, there is ratio. And I think again, so that's nearly the important part in this one. If alone wasn't there, perfect. Then quantitative is continuous. But because they say nearly only, that is where it makes it wrong. And I think that again is nearly the important thing with the exam as well, is that is a small catch, right? They want to catch you out because you see quantitative, you see continuous, and automatically you think, yeah, it is correct. And that's why I just wanted to nearly highlight that alone. So if that alone was not in the sentence, perfect, then it would have been correct. So by nearly just adding one word, it made the statement incorrect. Okay, so let's quickly look at the other ones as well. Qualitative variables indicate that a person or object belongs in a category. That is correct, because qualitative is about categorical data. So, and it talks about persons or objects. So that's also fine. The method of payment is a qualitative variable, and that is also correct. Then the last one, the amount of money a person withdraws from an ATM today is a discrete variable. Okay, because you draw 20 Rand to 50 Rand, 100 Rand, or any of those things that are in a discrete value. You can't draw 111 Rand, 115678 or anything like that. So if you withdraw money, it is a discrete variable. Okay, so basically the only one, this one was a tricky one because it is basically by that one extra word that makes it the incorrect option. And I don't nearly want to make you worried about the exam or anything like that. But they like to nearly throw in these words to, in a sense, confuse you. So later on, in some of the later study units, also some of the wording that they will use when we get to probabilities and those kind of things, I'll show you when we need to do what in that instances as well. When we start talking about more than, bigger than, smaller than, up till, and all of those things, then I'll show you on the probability scales how we'll deal with that. Okay, so let's go to the next one. And now you see how I did skip a lot. But basically I now want to get to nearly where we talk about discrete and continuous in a different setup. So again, anybody that wants to try this one? Again, important, we're looking for the incorrect one. Yes, Charity.
I will say the incorrect one is number 3.
Okay, so you say incorrect one is free. Charity, I can't hear you.
Okay, I was saying the incorrect one is number 3 because we can't have a continuous number of oil cans. We can't have 1.3 oil cans. We can only have a discrete number of
Perfect.
oil cans.
Perfect. Great. 100%. And what is also important, I think, when we get to some of the probability later on, and I think that is why we are doing this now, is that when we get to probability, remember that as well, where we will, certain things can't be a 0.5. So you can't have a 0.5 table or chairs or oil cans or cars or those kind of things. So I think that is important. So spot on, you got it perfectly correct. So let's look at all the others just to make 100% sure why we also say they are correct. So discrete. So if a number of oil cans was discrete, then it would have been correct. The number of earpieces a person has represents a discrete. Again, very unlikely that you can have a half earpiece in your ear and still hear. So you need to have a full earpiece. So so that is definitely correct. The opinion about legalization of marijuana is a qualitative variable. Qualitative is category, so it will be opinion, so yes or no. So that will be correct. Then height of a customer at a boutique is a quantitative variable. Okay, so I would say that is correct. Can anybody tell me what quantitative variable it will be? Yes, Vukuzi, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
That's fine. It's actually Vukosi, but that's still fine.
Okay,
I would
Vukosi.
say it's ratio because it talks about the length or this. I would say it's ratio.
Okay, so we've got one ratio.
I
Anybody else?
I will say it's a continuous because we're talking about measurement.
Okay, continuous. Okay, Charity, what are you saying?
I'm also saying it's continuous.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, so it is continuous, and the reason why it's continuous is, or let me rephrase also, the reason why it's not ratio is because there's not a negative height. So when it's ratio, there will be nearly a zero in between and it will go negative again. So that is why for height, it can't be ratio, it will only be continuous. If you look at something else so something like temperature can be nearly both continuous and it can be ratio. So depending on the type of question that they're asking, it can be both. Kilometers driven is continuous. If they ask you the 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 coins that are in each of your purses at the moment, then it is or continuous or discrete depending on what we give back as the answer. And I think that is quite important, is that with a few of these, depending on what they're asking, it can give you two answers. So if I ask you on kilometers, so let's say they say you are driving 10 kilometers every day, then it is a discrete variable. But if I'm saying you're driving from home to the office, then you don't know what the number of kilometers is, and then it becomes continuous. I think that is also important nearly with these types of questions, that we nearly get it right what they are asking. Like in this one, so the daily number of students going to school is discrete. So you know, when they say daily number of students, you know exactly what the number will be. But if I'm telling you the kilometers that you have traveled today can be something different from tomorrow, because you can have a different route, and it can be not a discrete variable. But if I told you you driving, or even with height, if I tell you that the height in meters, or the kilometer, or the distance in kilometers, then you know it's a discrete variable, because then you drive 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 kilometers, or 1 meter, or 1.15, or then you know it is something different how we're measuring it. Okay, does that make sense? And I think that is important when we also go through some of the exam papers and other questions, that we nearly need to look at what is a question that they're asking. Happy with that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I only have a few of these for today, but let's just, and then we can talk about how we're going to do the rest of, because this is nearly, you will see that the same kind of questions. Yes, there's a hand. Okay, I can't see who the hand is, but you can ask a question if you want to.
For exam, because typo can either be nominal or ordinal.
Quickly ask that again, sorry.
Except I think number
Or if you can type in the meeting chat, I can also look at that. I couldn't now hear the comment. Okay, so let's quickly The last one, I wonder why this is now looking so... Okay. So let's quickly look at which one of the following statements again incorrect. Okay, what do you guys think, or what is your answer for this one? Anybody that want to go for it?
I think the first one is correct because there's like it's continuous, the percentages, and because of the decimals, the number of children is number, so it's a discrete. It is correct. It's a discrete variable. Then median, if Anna remember correctly, is the middle value, so that shouldn't be sensitive to outliers. Then the mean is obviously the average of all the observations, so that is also correct. And then in a data set, we can have more than one mode because that's the number that repeats the most often. But I think 3 is wrong. Median is should not be sensitive to an outlier, I think. I might be wrong, but that's what I would say. 3 is incorrect.
Okay, you are correct. That is the incorrect one. This was now interesting how they actually combined, and that is why I have included it for you in the set of questions as well, because we're so used to, and in the exam as well, we always say that us, the e-tutors and the lecturer, that your exam will follow your study guide. So you will get 1 or 2 questions on study unit 1, 1 or 2 questions on study unit 2, and so forth. But this one actually is a combination of study unit 1 and study unit 3, where it talks about the median, mean, and mode, and it then includes 2 of the variables. So this was, for me, a very interesting one, and why I included it. So let's quickly look at the answers. So 75, 74.8, 74.89. Yes, it is continuous. So that is correct. The number of children in a family is discrete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't have a 1.5 or 2.9 or any of those kind of numbers. So you can only have a 1 or 2 or 3. So it is discrete. When we get to chapter 3, median is, so if you order your numbers from small to the highest number, median will be in the middle. And it doesn't matter if you have an outlier, it will still be your middle value. So median is sensitive to outliers? No, it's not. So it doesn't matter where your outlier is, median will still be in the middle. So it's not sensitive to outliers. So that is the incorrect one. The mean makes use of all observation. That is also correct, because your mean is the total of all your observations divided by the number of the observations. So that is also correct. and in a data set we can have more than one mode. That is also true. I will show you in study unit 2 when we look at stem and leaf. I'll show you an example of where it can have more than one mode. It can actually have 2 or 3 modes. So it can have more than one mode. So that is also correct. So the incorrect option is option 3. So this again, it was interesting because normally you will get a question that is purely study unit based, but sometimes it can be that it flows in between some of the study units. Okay, so this is basically the first study unit that I wanted us to cover. I wanted to check how long it will take us for the next sessions. I wanted to check. So I'm actually going to stop the recording now, and then we can just